All right, in this video, this is the final video in our whole material series. If you have not, or you just started on this video, take a look at the playlist. There is a full series where we go through all the material types, the major ones, right? But now we're on the universal material. And if we quickly look at it, the universal material is basically gonna put all of these guys together in one node. You got your metallic material, your diffuse, your glossy, and your specular material. We're gonna put all of those into one node. Let's take a look at it. All right, so to quickly bring that open, we're gonna go Shift A, and then we'll go to materials. Down here at the bottom, here is our universal material. Go ahead and pop that in. Now it is a long, lengthy material node. It does look a little bit complicated, but now that we've went through all those other ones, you're gonna see how easy this is. It's really not that complicated. Again, transmission layer, base layer, specular layer, roughness, index of refraction, coating layer, thin film layer, sheen, transmission properties, and geometry properties. We've seen these on every one of these nodes here, right? So now you should have a good, clear understanding of what all of these do. And then here's our emission node, right? It even pops that inside of there. Again, transmission layer, here it is. There's our specular material. If we wanted a default material, thin wall diffuse, here's those options inside of there. Then we got our base layer here, which is our albedo, or it's going to be metallic. If we want to have metallic, we have our metallic tint. Our specular layer, again, adding specular. Here is our BSDF model, which we talked about earlier. Here, the same commands. I can go to my GGX, right? Load that up. My roughness, here's all my roughness controls with the same controls that we had on all those other nodes. Index of refraction, same thing here. Index of refraction here to dial that in. And then it also has a couple of other special options here, which I don't really know about. We're not going to get into that. And then on our metallic layer, here again, here it is again, the reflection model. We can change that from artistic, index of reflection plus color, RGB plus index of reflection, right? We saw that on our metallic layer. And then those are settings. So this is basically our metallic shader right here. Add caustics to allow caustics to come through. Coating layers here, we saw that also on our roughness. We got that coating bump. We can add a bump on the coating normals. And then here's our thin film layer again, which we were talking about, the oil slick / glowy rainbow color effect on top. Sheen layer bump. So we can a couple of extra things that we can add in here. So we can add a bump just on the sheen layer, which you could not do with just the normal glossy node, right? So we do have a couple of extra inputs on here. Transmission properties, again, if we want to get that ghostly like opacity, we can do that. And then here's our fake shadows, alpha effects, again, stuff that we use when we're using specular glossy materials in glass, that type of thing. Geo, bump, normal, displacement, smooth, those same things here. And then at the bottom, we have a shadow catcher, which we can turn anything into a shadow catcher using this here. Again, also custom AOVs, which we didn't get into. I'll have another video about that. And then material layering, which this is super important. This is when we start to get into making some complex materials. We want to start layering up materials. This is going to allow us to merge in layers and stuff like that. That will be for another video. All right, so we're going to quickly fire up the renderer real quick, and just to show you here that we're able to make anything with this material. Straight out of the box, here is our default diffuse material, and we do have a little bit of glossiness on it, again with our value of 0.06. There is that happening. Well, I don't want that. I want metal. Okay, metal, you go ahead, give that a value of 1. Boom, there it is. Now we've got our metal here. We can go to our metal tint, add a little bit of a tint to that. Boom, there it is, right? Super easy and simple. We can change that back, change that back, change that back. Boom, now we're back to our default material, or we can just go straight metal material right here. And then we can come in, dial in our roughness. Let's go 0.5 and get something a little bit more like that. And then our anisotropy, let's give this like a 3. Okay, now we're getting those lines on here again. See all that happening there? That render a little bit. Boom, there we go. We've got those lines on here. We can control the spread and all that stuff with that. Let's go ahead and set that back to default. Okay, well, you're like, that's great. If we want, we also have the IR controls here, which I'm not going to get into. But let's say that we wanted to make glass. Well, how do we make glass? I don't see the settings for that. Well, we do need to do a couple of things here. We come in here and change this to specular, which is already at specular. Change the albedo to black. Once that is set, transmission, we'll click on this little guy here. And this is going to give us, I typically use a grayscale color node, just pop that into there. And also I need to make sure that the metallic is also set to 0. And there, boom. Now we have our glass material here. Super simple and easy. We're in the glass world. I guess you could mess with the values on this. I never really mess with the viz. I normally just pop it in. Yeah, there we go. And if you want it to be super more clear like on the glass, and if we go to 0, boom, it's super black, like a black glass or ball. Now go ahead and set this back to default by pressing backspace. Now if we wanted to make a subsurface like material, we're going to need to plug in a medium here. So let me scroll this down here. So in transmission properties down here we have our medium, right? So now again, we wanted to make this like a subsurface material. This is where you have to make sure you are first set up in a specular glass material. So specular, and make sure your base albedo color is set to black. And then you'll scroll down here to medium and then go ahead and pop this open. Octane medium. Here's all of our different medium form types. I'm just going to go something like random walk here, drop that in. And now we're in the diffuse subsurface world, not diffuse, but we're making a subsurface type material. Here the density is cranked up. I'm gonna go like 0.2 and knock that down a little bit. All right, here, and then there's our albedos. This is where we'll come in here and start to add some color to this. And I think this radius also here, let's kind of just mess around with this here, make this black. Right, so there you can see the density. It's kind of a, I don't know, really deep crayon-like look. I guess the black, maybe making that black is a little bit too much. Let's kind of go white here. But again, I'm gonna have to do a whole different video on subsurface, but this is quickly how you can get into that subsurface world using the universal material here. So again, letting that kind of just render out. So yeah, you kind of got, it looks like to me like this glass, deep glass color, milky glass color. So we got that going on there. So let me go ahead and just unplug that. So that's basically what that's looking like. If I click on the whole top of the node and just press backspace again, it's going to reset the whole node back to default, to its default state. And there we are, back to just a standard default diffuse glossy material with a little bit of gloss on it right there. All right, guys, so that's a quick run through of just some of the basic materials inside of Blender Octane. Understanding any one of those nodes or this group of nodes or the universal material, you're pretty much able to make almost any type of material. Now, there are a lot of advanced things you can do with materials inside of Blender Octane, especially I will say a slightly bit more advanced stuff inside of this that you can do than cycles. But hey, they all can do pretty much what they all can do. There's just different steps and different nodes and different ways. If you guys enjoyed this series, let me know, smash the like button, give me a comment down below if there's some other stuff you guys want to see. If you're into VFX and tracking, take a look at this video and I'll walk you through how I basically do VFX and tracking. It's super easy. And if you're a beginner, it's something you should really watch. Catch you guys in the next one. Patrick LeBar, peace.